Who they? Who they? What's going on? It's your boy Ace Boogie. Checking in with you guys. Let me know if you can hear me. See. Who's in here right now? What's up, bro? Can you guys hear me? Figured I'd jump up in here real quick. Wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on. Obviously, we thought we would be hearing something by now. Uh, but the number one question I'm here to talk about. What's up, y'all? Um, who is gonna be our coach? There's a lot of rumors going around about. Hold on, let me turn this music down a little bit. There's a lot of music or rumors, not music, going around that we're looking at Eric Bieniemy, Vance Joseph. It seems like it might be Vance Joseph. I'm not sure though. Like to be honest with you, I'm not sure how it would have gotten out that quick that it's possibly Vance Joseph or Hugh Jackson. What's interesting is they interviewed Todd Monken on Monday. They interviewed Eric Bieniemy on Sunday. On Saturday, they interviewed Zach Taylor and also Shane Waldron. I did a video on him. To me, I wonder what it actually is. Like for me, I think I don't think they know. I don't think the national media knows who the coach is. There's only one guy reporting it. It's Albert Breer. I'm not sure exactly what Breer is going on. Um, I don't know. I don't know if he's reputable or not. We'll see though. Appreciate that Solomon Supreme for the donation. I'm with you. I definitely take Eric Bieniemy, Zach Taylor, or Todd Monken. All since you slid me something, I would definitely touch on that. Obviously, I want Eric Bieniemy. I take Zach Taylor and Todd Monken. All of those guys are offensive minds. That's the reason that causes me to doubt what the national media is putting out there because um, Lance from 700 WLW spoke last week and said that they're looking for a young offensive minded coach. Vance Joseph isn't an offensive coach. So to me, I'm not sure exactly um, how that translates to Vance Joseph. So to me, like Vance Joseph, let me just put it like this. Number one, he was a great secondary coach. Don't get me wrong. He was not a good defensive coordinator for Miami. You look at what he did with Miami, their defense was 31st. Even though he was supposed to be the next great coach, he didn't really live up to it. Ended up getting the Denver job. Obviously, didn't have a great quarterback, but still didn't live up to expectations there. You're talking about a team that won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning during the down year and also had Brock Osweiler, was able to win with those guys. He could not win with Case Keenum or any of those quarterbacks there, but that defense should have been so great that he should have at least won in spite of them. So for me, I don't like Vance Joseph as an option. I mean, I'm even afraid to make him the defensive coordinator. And that's simply based off of what I've seen him do in Miami down here. So for real, like to me, if you're going to take an extensive search and take this long, I don't think you take this long if you know who it is that you want to get. They already know Vance Joseph. I'm pretty sure there wasn't much that went into that process with them meeting him. I feel like they would need to have a lot of time to evaluate the other guys. So I think that one thing that opens the possibility for it to be enemy is the fact that some of the other suitors are filling their coaching positions. Obviously, the Cardinals don't count because he automatically turned down an interview with them. But one that went away was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decided to go with Bruce Arians today. The Cardinals went with their guy from the college ranks. So for me, that took the Buccaneers off of the list for him, which I believe Bruce Arians was probably your number one prospect on the coaching market. Um, Someone's asking for information on Todd. Todd Monken is he actually was the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers this past year. They actually had a pretty good offense. There were still some weaknesses in that offense. Obviously, Jameis Winston didn't have the best year against us, but he was responsible a lot for the Fitzpatrick or the Fitzmagic era that happened. So he's a great offensive mind. I'm not sure, how he would do as a head coach per se. But I think that he's a guy that's pretty good. I talked to a couple of Tampa Bay Bucks fans, and they said that they feel like he is. N- there's nothing really bad about him that they could say. Shane Waldron, I really like Shane Waldron. I think he's a sleeper. I'm almost starting to think like since they went and interviewed both candidates, maybe they thought that that was a package deal with Waldron and Zach Taylor. It's open to interpretation. Do I think that we will re-sign Tyler Eifert? Honestly, I cannot say that or not yet, Jared, just because I have to see who's going to be the head coach. If this head coach comes in, they're going to have their pick on what the personnel is and things of that nature. Charlie hit it on the head. Kubiak, that's definitely somebody that I wish we would have went after. But obviously, the Broncos blocked us for a reason. They could end up bringing Kubiak back as their head coach. Mike Munchak also took a position as a tight ends coach, so he's off of the market. That was one of the guys that Lap thought could be a potential guy that the Bengals would go after. There was never any reports that or of us actually going after him. That was just someone that Lap said that we should look at. Um, I'm scared too right now, Ty. I am kind of nervous. Well, I'm not scared. I'm nervous. So but I think no news is good news. I don't think that it would be Hugh. I really don't think that it would be Hugh if it took this long. And I think Jeff Hobson pointed out on his website that if it was an internal candidate, then they would have already been hired by now. They wouldn't have taken this long. But you know, with those coordinators and position coaches still on the staff, they need to figure this out as soon as possible because since other teams are starting to put together their coaching staffs, that leaves some of our people open to possibly being taken away. So we'll see. Just reading, catching up on here. Time window. I actually thought like I didn't put it out here, but I thought that we would actually hear something by today. Possibly I'm thinking tomorrow through Friday. I would hope that they would not torture us this long and take their time. I understand that it's an important decision, but hopefully they get back through there and make sure that they do what they need to do and get the right guy. Hey, thank you, TMF Furbies. I appreciate it, man. I definitely work hard to bring you guys this content. If you guys want to give me more subs, make sure that you subscribe to me now. Make sure that you share videos like this. Tell your friends about New Stripe City. That's what I do it for. I'm here for the diehards, man. I'm just like you guys. So anything that find out, I'm not like a super insider or anything, but when I see information, I would definitely pass it along. I do have some connections. I can't say how, but to some of the players. So I do get to hear some things. But I did speak with one individual that represents, I'm not going to put his name out there, but one individual that represents Hugh Jackson. And I looked into it and just basically straight up asked him, let me pull up the text right now. Do you think the Bengals will go with you? This was last Wednesday. And he said that he's not sure yet. They're interviewing a bunch of coaches. So it doesn't seem like there's any indication from his end, at least last week, which there's been a lot of time that's passed after, but that was after Hugh had interviewed. There was no indication from him that Hugh received any news about him being the head coach. So, hey, appreciate it, TMF. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like if you're gonna bring Hugh, he has to be the offense coordinator, man. Um, it's not that I don't think Hugh won't be a great head coach one day. It's just the numbers kind of say that if you were a former head coach, such as Vance Joseph or such as Hugh Jackson, that you'll continue to have like 500, sub 500 years. I just think this team just needs something new, man. We really just need something new. Eric Bieniemy, whether that's Todd Monken, whether that's Zach Taylor, you have to bring in somebody new. That's the only thing that's gonna get this fan base riled up. And when that happens, there's gonna be a lot of changes. So we'll have to see what happens after that. The Browns right now, they were supposed to be one of the most ideal landing places. Bruce Arians actually professed interest in going there, and he ended up going to another team. So that was a big win for us. They just interviewed Kitchens over there. I'm not sure if Greg Williams is going to keep that job over there. So there is going to be some. I just got a notification here. It looks like Mike McCarthy doesn't want to be considered for any other job than the New York Jets. So we never interviewed Mike McCarthy. That was another meh kind of option for me. So it looks like he will be going to the Jets. So things are clearing up. If he goes to the Jets, and I can't imagine any scenario with the Jets not wanting him, that means that Eric Bieniemy has he's down to two options now. It's either Cincinnati or it's Miami. That's actually good news for us. Obviously, it's not anything that's concrete, but hey, we'll see. Solomon, again, thanks for the donation, man. Appreciate it. How do you feel about Katie Blackburn interviewing? Is what Solomon said. I think that it's great. Honestly, I think it's great news. I'm a bigger Katie fan than I am a Mike Brown fan. A lot of people haven't realized that the Bengals and Mike Brown has kind of deferred to Katie within like the past 5 years. I think she's a person, and this is me just speaking. I'm not sure. Like I can talk to some agents and get a better representation. Matter of fact, my goal is to have a show on here with one of the agents that's actually talk to the Bengals front office, like Katie Blackburn and those guys. Um, but from my perspective, I think that she is the one that's like the voice of reason. I think her and Marvin Lewis were the voice of reason for years in terms of going out and picking players and talking Mike Brown off of the ledge. And I think that it's no surprise that she's the person leading these negotiations. Now, we saw her in Hard Knocks have an approach of being pretty I don't know. She was kind of a little stubborn with the Andre Smith thing, but I really like Katie Blackburn. I think we're actually in for some good years once she gets in there because I think she realizes the perception that this team has and that it has to change. And I think she realizes the importance of how important your fan base is and catering to them. So I think that she is actually good to have in these meetings because she's going to make sure that we don't get a BS coach. She's not. She's going to make sure that we don't pay out of the wahoo for him, but she's going to make sure that it's someone that is going to be a good investment that will help bring fans back to the stadium, help win games. So I like her actually being in there. I'm actually on the Katie Blackburn train. I've been on it for years silently. I like Katie. Katie's dope. Adam Pac-Man Jones should be the next coach. No, thank you. I would take him as a secondary coach, though. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks, Jack Avengers. Appreciate you. Are you interested in Eberfluss at all? Maybe Monken at OC? I am. I mean, Eberfluss is a great candidate, man. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the guy that's the defensive coordinator for the Colts. I think he's done a great job with what the Colts have over there. However, I'm really just like, and normally I'm a defensive guy, but just looking at and Zim Hude, if you aren't following him, follow him on IG. He talks about all the time how this year the NFL shifted to an offensive kind of league, and that's where it is, and that's where we need to go. Like I like defense. I still want us to have a good defense, but this league is trending towards offense. So the only reason I would not want LaFleur is because he's a defensive coach. So I actually want an offensive coach. Like I want an offensive minded coach, a guy that's going to come in, make sure that we blow scoreboards up, and that's why I can't see Eric Bieniemy turning this opportunity down. You got Joe Mixon, you've got John Ross, you got AJ Green, you got Andy Dalton, you have a front office that will be behind you. In 1 or 2 years, actually, and I think it's coming up on this season, there's going to be some cap space out there. Um, I don't think that, like, a lot of people talk about the fact that, a lot of people don't want to come here because of that. That is total BS. The guy that I'm going to try to interview, John Thornton, the ex Bengal and free agent. I spoke to him several years ago. If you haven't heard it, be sure to check on my channel in the history. It was probably about two years ago. I think that's when Leonard Fournette got drafted. Check that out, man. I really, this time when I do it, I'm going to try to get him actually on film so we can actually have video. But he talked about the Bengals 2 years ago being one of the most respected teams in the NFL, and this is a guy that has to do business with all 32 teams. So he was not showing any bias, and he was talking about the fact that a lot of other teams were actually trying to copy what the Bengals were doing in terms of drafting well, in terms of keeping their own. So don't believe the hype that most people around the league or these coaches around the league might not want to come here because we don't do things right. We actually do things right. Could we spend more money in free agency on certain stars? Sure, we could. But they are starting to make moves that make more sense. You saw it this past year where they released Adam Jones, they released George Iloka to sign other people. That's things that other teams do. Tyler Boyd is definitely underrated. That's my boy. That's my guy. I've been on the TB train from day one. You watch my old video when we drafted him. I told people that he was going to be a beast and reliable. This was a guy that was supposed to be, a lot of people forget, he was supposed to be the number one receiver coming out of his class. Um, Release Vontez Perfect. Honestly, man, I love Vontez. He had a very down year. I'm not sure if it had to do with the fact that he came in the camp probably not in the best of shape, had a suspension, had a hip injury. But I talked about this on one of my lives. I think he is one of the Bengals that could be on the way out if they bring in a new coach who doesn't um, gel with him. So we'll see. I don't think you should release him though. Like for Vontez Burfict, you could at least trade him to Oakland or something like that for like a second round draft pick. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, bro. You guys must be able to hear that music in the background. Will Bill Lazor remain the offensive coordinator? I think it's very unlikely. The only, like, honestly, bro, like if there were two people that I would want to retain, it would be Frank Pollock and Alex Van Pelt, the quarterback coach. If Haskins is on the board and Devin White is gone, do you think we should pull the trigger? I think you have to think about it, man. It really depends, Ty, on who the coach is. Like, if this coach wants to pick his guy and have him sit behind Andy Dalton for a year, then yes, you do that. I'm starting to hear mixed reviews on Haskins. I have to personally look at him myself. But if he has the potential to end up being a guy that could replace Andy Dalton, maybe you do that. It really depends on where we're at as a team after free agency, after this offseason. Like, do we have Tyler Eifert back? Those are things that we need to know. Is Denard back? Um, you know, do we need to fix the offensive line? So those things will all be questions going into that pick. And I think that a lot of people feel like a lot of people feel like the Bengals are strictly committed to Andy Dalton. I don't believe Mike Brown is as big of an Andy Dalton fan as some people believe, and that's just pure speculation. But if you look at Mike Brown's history and during his tenure, you notice that he loves big arm, big name quarterbacks. Like he was the guy that was probably saying we need to go and get Carson Palmer. This is the same guy that wanted Colin Kaepernick. So never feel like Mike Brown is just committed and all in on Andy Dalton. I think a lot of that had to do with Marvin Lewis's influence and Marvin Lewis, and because you have to remember Mike Brown had to be convinced to actually take Andy Dalton by Jay Gruden and Marvin Lewis. So the fact that they're gone now, I think that that opens the door a little bit. Mike Brown obviously is still going to realize he has um, a quarterback on a pretty good deal that's playing good. I'm not saying trade Andy Dalton or anything like that, but just know that if he doesn't, um, perform without Marvin Lewis here, they will not hesitate, I feel like, to possibly draft a replacement, bring somebody in to challenge him. I don't think that that's going to be an issue. Yeah, Andy Dalton, and please don't take that as that Andy Dalton is bad. I don't think Andy Dalton is bad. I don't think the Bengals believe that he's bad. But I'm just saying that if a new coach comes in and wants to get another guy, whether it's, and I don't think it'll really be this year. I think in 2020, I think that that makes sense when Andy Dalton becomes a free agent. I don't see them. I would never like. I like Andy or whatever. Like I'm not the biggest fan of his. There's been times where I've gone in on him. I give him his respect when he plays decent, and this year he played decent. But I'm not paying Andy Dalton 33 million a year. I don't know. There's no way. Like you have to have at least like you know AFC. I don't even know if you just get me to the divisional playoff game. I don't even know if that's enough for me to give you 38 million. That's all I can say. But um playing devil's advocate, Ty, if Devin White is there and Dwayne Haskins is there, I might go Devin White, bro, just because I think we need more impact players at the linebacker position for sure. You, my boy, but stop hyping Lamar Jackson. There's no hype on Lamar Jackson. See, like, this is my thing, man. When I talk about Lamar Jackson, I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. For me, I look at the situation given what it was. Like, it's hard to not be impressed about what Lamar Jackson did this year. I'm just speaking as a fan of football. Let's separate everything else out from it, and let's just talk about the facts. The facts are Lamar Jackson was told that he could not play quarterback in the NFL. Number two, he was told to play the receiver position. He even lined up at the receiver position for Baltimore majority of the season. Number four, he was expected to be a prospect that you had to develop. He had some skill set there, but it clearly had to be refined and honed in. And when you look at it, it really was a similar situation, and this is why I try to tell people all the time. Lamar Jackson was in the same situation that Colin Kaepernick was in. Colin Kaepernick did not play his first year because he was not a great passer. They had to sit him down for a year and they had to hone in on his skills and try to help him in that department. That's what Lamar was expected to do. He wasn't expected to play. I didn't expect him to play. Even if the Bengals would have drafted him, I wasn't saying to put Lamar Jackson in from day one. I thought that he could sit on the bench and be developed. So obviously, Joe Flacco gets hurt with a hip injury. This man comes into a situation, and I'm not even just applauding Lamar Jackson. I applaud that staff because we all know how hard it is to install an offense, especially when we fired Zampese. We had to stick with that entire offense the rest of the season. Like Bill Lazor kept that offense because he just felt like it was too hard to do that, and most teams do that. These guys took 2 weeks, installed an offense that was conducive to his skill set, and they were able to win with it. And to me, I think that all I'm saying is that Lamar Jackson proved that he can play in the NFL. And I actually played defense in high school. I'm not trying to say that I know more than anybody. That's not what I'm saying. It is so much harder to account for a quarterback that on any given play can extend it and create and turn that play into a totally different play. And that's what Lamar Jackson can do. And when you saw what he did on improvising and Sunday, he came out. Obviously, he's a 21-year-old rookie. Anybody in that situation would have been shook. Andy Dalton in his first situation or in his first drive with the Bengals as a rookie, you all remember he threw an interception right to J.J. Watt. These are young guys that are gonna be shook. But Lamar Jackson was able to show the moxie to recover in that situation. That's what I like about him. Like in a situation like that, some quarterbacks may have folded. This guy had 25 passing yards in the fourth quarter. He came back and threw. He finished the game with 180 yards, two touchdowns, an interception that really wasn't his fault. Now there was another throw that he had that should have been an interception. But when you look at his game, like what did Lamar Jackson do bad in the game? Like honestly, like if you're talking, I'm talking about from the fourth quarter on. Like if we're looking at the game from a whole side, what did Lamar Jackson do? Like he played better than Andy Dalton did in any of his playoff appearances. And I'm not, that's not a slight at Andy, but for people to hate on Lamar Jackson, it's kind of crazy because he played better than Andy Dalton in his first playoff game. Like, let that sink in. He put up better stats than Andy Dalton for a guy that's played in 6 or 7 playoff games. So before you go at Lamar Jackson, like you need to look at other people. It definitely takes a team to beat a team, but this is my thing too. If Lamar Jackson, people are talking about, oh, you're hyping up Lamar Jackson. So if it's hype, why did the Chargers create a brand new defense that nobody in the NFL has ever used in history to stop him? They're not doing that for a number of other quarterbacks. They don't even do that for Cam Newton. They had 7 DBs in the game with 4 defensive linemen. That was, I would have to, like, I take my hat off to the San Diego Chargers. That was, I mean, not the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, because that was a hell of a game plan. Whoever that defensive coordinator is, he deserves to get a head coaching job because that was smart as hell. Another thing though, like, did people not notice that he was getting murdered in the pocket? Like, a lot of people were like, "Oh, he can't throw." He didn't have time to throw. The man got sacked 7 times. But outside of that, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that. And this is what I've always tried to tell people. I don't think that Lamar Jackson is going to be, Pat Mahomes or anything by that, by any stretch of the imagination. But I think with some proper work this offseason, if they work with him and develop his passing game, I think he can be Deshaun Watson. I think at his top level, he can be what Deshaun Watson has been in the NFL. But why are we talking about? I don't even want to talk about Lamar anymore because we're gonna have to deal with him for the next 5 or 10 years. So we'll see. Yes, Lamar Jackson is definitely Mike Vick, but you have to remember what Mike Vick did to the NFL, and the fact that he has a defense makes him even more dangerous. I would probably say, and when I'm talking about this, because I'm just a fan of football players, period. I think at this point in his career, once he develops a little bit more, he was actually a better passer than Mike Vick at this stage in his career. Mike Vick had a lot of power on his arm, but he did not have a lot of accuracy. And that's why I just say, like, the accuracy thing, you could look at Josh Allen and say the same thing. You could look at several quarterbacks and say the same thing. But yeah, I'm off of talking about LJ. He's not a Bengal. We're here to talk about the Bengals, so let's see what it is. Don't forget though, Mike Vick almost became a Bengal. Bullshit. Lamar Jackson won't last long. Mark it down. Oh my god, I hate to go back, but why do people not think Lamar Jackson won't last long? Is it because of RG3? Because he's the only scrambling quarterback that didn't last, and he did not have his career ended because he was scrambling. RG3 was actually injured when he got his ACL injury throwing a pass from the pocket. So I feel like, and I'm not trying to hop on the guy that's Anthony or anything, but I've heard that take a lot before, and I just look at it and I'm like, there were plenty of scrambling quarterbacks that played for a long time in the NFL. And I think like a lot of people just look at the RG3 situation and they're just like they don't last in the NFL. But you have to remember what happened in RG3 situation, right? So he gets sacked um, during the play, or whatever, and then he obviously tears his ACL. Everybody, and I'm watching the game and I'm like, why is this guy in playing on a torn ACL? He's limping and all of that. That's what ruined RG3's career. Playing on a torn ACL will ruin anybody's career, whether it's a pocket quarterback, whether it's a running quarterback. Another thing was RG3 was not a smart runner. He would kind of run into a lot of contact. But you look at Michael Vick. Michael Vick went to prison, came back and played. You look at Randall Cunningham. That's another one. I'm not gonna say he was a full all-out scrambling quarterbacks, but one of my favorite quarterbacks ever was Steve Young. Steve Young ran the ball. He played for a long time. Obviously, he was a way better thrower, but he was a scrambling quarterback. There's been countless scrambling quarterbacks that had great careers. So I don't think that will contribute to his career ending early. R.I.P. to Slim, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Steve Young was definitely a beast. I don't know. That's a good question, Johnny. Like, if we have to wait to announce I'm not sure if that's like I don't know if we have to wait until Bieniemy's game is over to announce it or what. But that's good. That's good news. No news is good news. Hey, appreciate it, City. I'm glad that you tuning in from Philly, bro. That's what's up. Yes, I remember when Jerry Rice stole the Super Bowl from us. I think it was Jerry Rice and Dwight Clark, right? Yeah, I think we definitely need a LB and O line. What's up, Caleb? Glad you're tuning in from Utah. Hey, love from Cincy too. That's what's up. I think, man, the Tyler Eifert question is gonna be major. Brennan, what's up, man? Aloha from Hawaii. What's up, Bengals junkie? Yeah, man, no problem. No problem, Rod. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Who they from Cleveland? Lakeland Love. That's what's up. I'm from Orlando. Live from Avondale. That's where I'm originally from. That's what's up. Should the Bengals consider AB? Nah. We don't need AB over here. AB is a diva, man. Straight diva. Who they from Canada? That's what's up. Where's everybody from? Throw out here where you from. Who they, man? It's not who that. We don't do that over here. Good luck to the Saints though. Who they? Massachusetts, Toronto, Alaska, Virginia, North Carolina. Okay. Sydney, Australia. Okay. California, Cleveland. Okay. Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cincinnati. A1. Okay. Kentucky. Okay. Inglewood, Island of Bermuda. Okay. That's what's up. Bengals fans are all over the place. Yeah, forget the Squillers. Lafayette, Indiana. Okay, North Central Ohio. Okay, Ellesmere, Mason, Dayton, Milford. Okay, New Jersey. Okay, Washington D.C. Okay, Finneytown, Peru. Oh wow, Atlanta, San Diego. Oh wow, man, I didn't know who they was worldwide like this. Draft in the first round, I would probably say right now Devin White, Dwayne Haskins possibly. You look at the other options. I think you're looking at an offensive lineman. If I had to rank the needs, you probably, depending on where the coaching search goes, I think you're looking at linebacker first round as the number one need. I think number two is offensive line. Number three is possibly cornerback. It depends on if Darquez Denard leaves. Get rid of Clint Boland. Whoa, nah, I wouldn't do that. We definitely need to get rid of That right guard, Alex Redmond, he can go. The recent buzz, Pro Sports Cincy, is about Vance Joseph. There was a gentleman by the name of Albert Breer that said that it seems like Vance Joseph is well positioned for the job itself. I'm not believing that. Um, I I fail to believe that someone like him would have direct contact with someone like Duke Tobin, somebody like Katie Blackburn, somebody like Mike Brown. I've never heard Albert Breer post anything about the Bengals before. That's not to say it can't be true. I'm just not. Uh, I'm just not putting a lot of stock into that. Especially now that we're seeing a team like the Jets that's looking like they're surrounded and zeroing in on Mike McCarthy pursuing the Jets job. That leaves two that's eliminating two of Eric Bieniemy's landing places. So I don't know. That's interesting. I'll have to see if they haven't announced that Eric Bieniemy is the coach because of the whole playoff thing. Michael Johnson has overstayed his welcome. I have to agree with that one. Joe Mixon is good. Yes, Joe Mixon is good. I was surprised. I saw that Lamar Miller got called up in the Pro Bowl today, and I was wondering why Joe Mixon hasn't been called up. How many draft picks do we have? I'm not sure. I do know that I think that we're receiving three compensatory picks, but they're like six rounders. And if they would have traded AJ McCarron a long time ago, they could have had a second and third rounder for the guy. And now we're going to get a six rounder for him. Tom Herman from Texas. I'm not sure exactly who that is. Is that a quarterback? I have to. I'm slowly waiting for the day that all of the guys end up committing. That's when I start to shift my focus to the draft. That's when I'll start to look at it here, and I will keep you guys updated on who I like there as well. Oh yeah, I agree, Brent. 16. That's the last thing that we would want is Joe Mixon getting hurt in a pointless game like the Pro Bowl. That makes sense. Steven Raven. I'm not sure who the next coach is yet. We'll have to see. No news. I'm assuming is good news. I don't think they would have waited this long, and I'm just purely speculating. If it were Hugh Jackson or somebody internally, uh, Jeff Hobson himself on Bengals.com said that if it was an internal candidate, they would have hired him by now. When do I think we'll get confirmation? I said this earlier. I think that is possibly this week, but one of you guys actually has me thinking about the ramifications of a coach that's uh, in the playoffs right now, whether they're allowed to announce that or not, because the enemy's in that situation. Let's see. Somebody just sent me a link. Let's see. Oh, you almost made me leave the chat. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, thank you, man. It looks like you just sent me the rules. So I don't know. Okay, you guys can still hear me. I'm gonna read off the rules real quick, just so you guys know what they are. Obviously, we all know what the Rooney Rule is. Assistant coaches not in the playoffs. So assistant coaches that aren't in the playoffs can interview. However, they must request a permission if the coach is under contract for another team. Assistant coaches with a first round bye in the playoffs. Teams are also allowed to interview assistant coaches who have a first round bye in the playoffs. However, the interview must take place within a week, and candidates can choose to decline the interview to focus on preparing for their current team or for the postseason. So obviously, Eric Bieniemy falls into that category. That's why they were able to interview him last Saturday. So let's see. An assistant coach following a win or loss in the wild card round. That doesn't, I'm not even going to talk about that because I don't think, I'll just throw this out here anyway, just in case. So, if an assistant coach's team loses in the wild card, the candidate can interview with any team that goes through the proper channels to secure an interview. However, if the assistant coach's team wins, teams need approval for an interview, which has to take place before the divisional round. So interviews after the divisional round, no interviews can be requested or granted for candidates whose teams are still in the playoffs after the divisional round. So let's see. Assistant coach with the team that advances to the Super Bowl. Teams are typically only allowed to interview a candidate one time while the candidate's team is in the playoffs. However, there's an exception to that rule for teams playing in the Super Bowl thanks to the 2 week window between the conference games and the big game itself. So it looks like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like that seems like that they're focusing on how you get permission to interview those guys. I'm not sure what the rules are in terms of announcing the news. Dude, I hope you get the 4K subs soon or even better, 1 million. Yes, sir. We'll get there. I'm going for 10K this year. That's too much info. Basically, Anthony, like we already did what we needed to do within the rules. So we already gave Bienemy his interview, which is that's all we needed was one interview. So it said nothing about when you can announce whether they are hired or not. So we'll have to see. Maybe it's just a common courtesy and a respect factor that they don't want a guy like Bienemy to be distracted. But we'll see. We can have 11 picks at most. Okay. Hey, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Okay, guys. Well, I'm about to head out. Obviously, if there's any news that comes through, I will be going live immediately as soon as I hear it. You guys will hear it first. But yeah, let's hope that we have a announcement coming tomorrow. And this is my thing. If you don't hear it tomorrow, that's actually good. If you don't hear it for this weekend, that might be good. That might mean that Eric B. Enemy is the guy that they're looking at, or Zach Taylor or Shane Waldron. Remember, those guys are both in the playoffs with the Rams and the Chiefs. So don't get upset if we don't hear anything. It might just be a common courtesy. If not, we'll see. We'll just deal with it. But just have faith, keep faith, and just believe that this staff will make the right choice. Hopefully, they will. They have to. If they don't, people won't be in the seats at the games. And they saw what that was like for 2 years in a row. So I'm about to get out of here. I'll leave you guys with a who day all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.